Welcome to the Mentor Podcast, where the most highly motivated entrepreneurs come to get their weekly dose of financial stability with host Ron LeGrand, as well as other nationally recognized thought leaders who will teach you how to get, grow, and protect your wealth.
Well, hello, welcome back. We're going to continue in our 32 fatal mistakes made by every real estate investor series. And in fact, we are now on buying mistakes, which is mistake number 20. So this lesson is all about the mistakes people make when they're making offers on buying properties, and then later we'll get to the selling mistakes. There's two key ingredients to the house business. Number one, you got to generate quality leads, whether they're pretty houses, terms deals, whether they're ugly houses, wholesale or rehab deals. You got to generate quality leads. And number two, you got to master the closing call. All the work is done for you by our VAs to get to the information on the house, but now you got to just make a quick call to the seller using my scripts to find out whether you're going to do business with them or not. And again, that applies whether the house is ugly or the house is pretty. These are the two key ingredients. And frankly, if you don't master both of these, you're going to have a hard time making these deals come together because you're not generating leads. Well, if you're not generating leads, the rest of it doesn't matter because you don't have a business. And if you're not mastering the closing call and you're not using my scripts, then you're just talking yourself right out of the deals and you don't even know why you're not getting them. I can promise you it's what comes out of your mouth. So it applies to both cash and terms deals. Thousands get into business every year and get nowhere because they're missing one or both of these key ingredients. Big mistake, throwing money into marketing and wasting the leads. Guys and gals, you can't throw money at this and fix it, all right? If you throw a bunch of money out there and then you don't get the results you want, probably means you haven't mastered the closing call yet. You don't want to be spending a bunch of money on advertising until you know you can handle the closing call, which won't take you that long to learn, but there is a learning process you got to go through there. And I give you all of that when I see you. All the mistakes you make, all the answers to all the questions, and I know how all your calls are wrong. In fact, I give you 14 stupid things you do when you're on the telephone with a seller to correct your call and frankly your conversations with people the rest of your life and turn into a good conversationalist and a good negotiator just because of the words that come out of your mouth, which you're reading off of a script. So don't be spending a bunch of money on marketing in hopes that's going to get you a bunch of deals. It's not unless you're prepared to follow up on the leads when you get them. There's no business where you don't have to learn anything new. You can get out of your comfort zone. It's one of them. If you're not willing to do that, if you're not willing to do that in any business, I don't go out and buy an ice cream shop. It's got the same issues, except you ain't going to make any money. With no script, you're likely going to get leads, but no deals. All right, here's our closing script that we used. It works all over the country, and we call this our $1 million script. And frankly, in one paragraph, you're pre-screening this seller. Now, remember, you have the property information sheet in front of you before you make this call because our VA's got all the information on the house, right? So now you're making this call to determine whether there's any reason to move forward with this seller or not. So let's look at this second paragraph down there. It says, one of the questions that the VAs ask them right on the PI sheet is, do you have to have all cash when you close, or would you be interested in listening to other options to get more money? Okay. So when we get them on the phone, we're going to ask them, we know the answer to that question. So we're going to say, my assistant says here that you would be interested in listening to some other options other than money. Is that correct? Or all cash? Yep. All right. And then the second paragraph goes on to say, well, listen, we do pay cash, but if we pay cash, it's going to be substantially less than what it would be if we can just make your payment till you're paid off in the future. So, John, you're telling me that you have to have all your cash the day of closing, or would you like to listen to other options to get you more money? Okay. Now, if John says, oh, okay, I'll listen. Now, all that script down below that are the benefits that you lay out to give them a reason to say, yeah, I can dig into that with you and see what happens. And so you get down to the bottom of the script, and if you get that positive answer, then you move on over to the $1 million script, which is 3 questions. That's all, 3 questions. Now, all the benefits down there, I'm not going to go through them all at one, but if you want to take a picture of that, you can, and it's also on the Gold Club site. So what I want to get to, if they let me, is to the $3 million questions. Well, John, listen, if we can agree upon the rest of the terms, what's the least you could take for the house? Notice what it says after that. It says, shut up. Okay. He'll give you an answer. And then you come back. Is that the best you can do? Most important 7 words in the English language when it comes to negotiating. Is that the best you can do? Folks, if you don't get anything out of this, you ought to write those words down and start practicing them every time you're buying or selling anything. Is that the best you can do? You watch what happens when you do. Second question. Well, John, we usually buy with nothing down, okay? Shut up. He's only going to give you 2 answers. He's either going to say, okay, and you're going to be shocked at how many people will say, okay. and if he doesn't say, okay, well, John, we usually buy with nothing down, so how close to nothing can you get? And you get your answer. And then if you still don't like that answer, you're going to work it on down. So you're telling me if I don't give you blank that I can't buy the house? And you're going to find out real quick how flexible John is. Okay, the answer to that question might determine that you're not going to the house because he wants way too much down payment, and you know darn well you're not going to give it to him. So deal with the elephant now. John, I can tell you right now, I can't give you $50,000 down. Again, we usually buy with nothing down. So tell me, how close to nothing can you get? And if he's not very flexible, there's no sense you going to the house. Scripts are a beautiful thing. Every company that has people on the telephone operates on scripts because if it didn't, they'd be a chaos mess. They wouldn't be in business very long. Why should you be any different? These scripts have been perfected for years worth of work all over the country. They work, and you should learn to read them word for word. You don't get tongue-tied and scared because you don't know what to say next. Last question. If the house has got a loan on it, I assume you're okay if I make your payments until you're paid off sometime in the future. So those 3 questions will determine whether you're going to the house or not. Just 3 questions, all right? And that's why we call it the $1 million script. It's actually worth more than $1 million, maybe more than $1 million. Just 3 questions, just 3. But you don't have a script, you got a mess, okay? Now we like his answers on this script. Now we're going to make an appointment to go to the house. You even need a script for that. All right. Well, John, listen, I assume you're married. Yeah. Well, okay. So both of you own the house. Yeah. Okay. Well, I need both of you present when I come. Okay. And I wouldn't go if they're not both present unless you don't have any choice, like in a divorce or one of them's out of state or whatever. Okay. That way, both of them will hear it from you and one won't try to explain it to the other and make a mess of it. And the last question, John, listen, if I come out to your house and you and I agree on the terms, are you prepared to get some paperwork done while I'm there and sell your house today? If I don't get a positive answer, why on earth should I go to the house? No reason to go because I know I'm not buying it. No, I just want you to come out and tell me what you think it's worth. No, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that. Okay. He's going to tell me what it's worth before I even go to the house. He's going to tell me what he wants. So it's amazing how much labor and time you'll be saved by just reading some simple scripts that have been time tested over time. Scripts make the deal. Of course, you're going to need a little practice reading the scripts, cleaning up some mistakes in your voice pattern. You know, one of the biggest biggest mistakes people make is they beg. Oh, yeah, you beg too. You don't know it, but you beg. Hey, if you don't believe you're begging, go ahead and record one of your calls. Play it back to yourself. Better need a barf bag over here because you cannot hear the mistakes you make while you're talking. Only if you record them and play them back. And I'll give you 14 mistakes that you make. In fact, and get them on the Gold Club site as well. And then you only got to, fix the ones that you break. Most people talk too much and teach and preach. Big mistake. Most people try to do a seminar when they're in the house. Big mistake. I know because I made it for a long time. Or talk too fast. All of these are things that need to be fixed. dozens of ways to generate quality leads. Too many to cover here, but I do have some good news for you. I do have just completed 2 courses to handle these critical ingredients. Number 1 is called Mastering the Closing Call. That's a whole day of that, of going through all of those mistakes and everything the seller can say and how to answer them and how to handle yourself when you're reading a script, practicing. And the other one's called Generating Quality Leads. That is literally 2 different seminars in one. And I interviewed a whole lot of these outside sources that generate leads. What do they do? How do they get their leads and what they cost for you? And then another session, I eliminate a bunch of my successful students on what they're using to get leads and what they're costing them and so forth. So this is all being put into one package, and this should solve your problem about what am I going to do to generate leads. I don't know how many hours this is, to be honest, but I do remember it's 5 or 6 days worth of training. Narrowed down, took out all the junk, so you don't have to listen to that long a session. If you call the number at the bottom of your screen and you use the word mistakes, got to use the code word mistakes. I'll give you both of these courses for $9.97 or $5.97 each, and you can use Gold Club points up to 50 points per course. So that means you can take, if you got 100 points, you can take off $100. If you got 50, take off 50 if you want to only buy one. And if you don't have any, get on there and go to ronsgoldclub.com and join, and you immediately have 150. That's $150, right? All right. So bad news. Marketing is not free. One way or another, you've either got to do the work or you've got to hire other people to do what they do to generate leads for you, or both. Okay, we do both. And if you get these courses, you'll see there's so many things you can do that don't cost any money. Some of them very little amount of money. And there's plenty in there for anybody to get started and generate leads, both in the ugly house business and in the pretty house business. But you're going to have an expense. So most people start by doing the things they can do for little or no money. And as they get money, then they start investing some of it in getting other people to generate leads for you. And anytime a seller calls you, I call that a quality lead. Those quality leads that other people generate for you are going to cost you more money, because that's why they cost you. They got to do the work at their expense to get you the leads. I mean, there's all kinds of things that they do. Some of them cold call sellers, some of them run ads online. And some of them master direct mail of all sorts. So let me give you a hint on what I'm doing right now. You might want to try this yourself. I have an acquisitionist. His name is Adel. And the other day he put 4 teenagers in a car, and we had 5,000 door hangers made. And then to hang on doors, you know what? I might even have one here. Look at there. Yeah, I do. Look at there. There's my door hangers. You know, one's the front and one's the back, so you can see them. It's all about we buy houses and all of the benefits of dealing with us right there. Okay. So we had 5,000 of these made. They're 5.5 by 11. They're on cardboard paper, holes already in it with a split. And so he put the 4 guys in a car. So he drives to a low-end neighborhood, and he stops at the end of a block. 2 of them get out, start going down the road, drives to the other end of the block. 2 of them get out, and they meet in the middle. Okay. Now these cost $575 to make 5,000 of these, get them printed. So I told him don't work more than 4 hours. About all they can take it is running up and down the streets, and that's what he did. And he got 1,000 of these out in 4 hours. With 4 teenagers, paying them $10 per hour. Okay, so what is that? $160 plus the $570 to print up the flyers. I don't know how much you can do that's any cheaper than that. There are some things actually. For example, running ads. How much you can run free ads all over the internet. RVAs will do it for you. The I Buy House ads. So literally you can keep those ads running at no cost whatsoever, except to have the VA constantly renew them for you. And you don't even have to think about it. And they drive in the calls. So there's plenty of things for you to do to get started. But again, don't be throwing a lot of money in it. until you know you can handle the inbound calls. So would you spend $2,000 to $5,000 per month on marketing if you knew it'll generate 10 times that in revenue? Well, I'll let you think about that a while, because honestly, that's one of the mistakes people make. Big mistake. And I understand it. Who wants to shell out 2,000 or 5,000 or somewhere in the middle and not knowing you're going to get a deal? Well, nobody does. But, if I'm going to get a deal and I make 30 grand on it, for crying out loud, what if I don't get any out of the first 2,000 or 5,000 or whatever? I mean, see, the operating cost is so small compared to the big high transaction value payoffs. But so you can't get all consumed about what you're spending on marketing, and that won't bother you anyway if you start with the cheap stuff or the lower no price stuff and work your way up, and then test as you get more training on who the vendors are and which ones you want to work with and which ones you don't. For example, I did a test in the past 3 months. I spent $30,000 on TV 30-second ads. $30,000. Guess how many deals we got? 0. Okay. I don't want you doing that. Now look, I felt like I had to do the test for the sake of reporting to you the results. All right. But okay, I didn't have to spend 10 grand a month, but that's what I obligated to. We produced a 30-second commercial. Absolutely nothing. We got a bunch of calls, but not from people who actually were motivated to sell their house. A lot of people just call to see if they can rent a house. So that's one of the things. I mean, I'm willing to spend that money because I'm kind of obligated to pave the way, but I don't want to see any of you spending $30,000 on any kind of advertising, period. That's assuming you have the 30. You will quit worrying about this if you master the 2 key ingredients. Remember what they are? Yeah, they are generating quality leads and mastering the closing call. Mistake 21. I don't make offers. Well, obviously, if you don't make offers, you're not getting anything accepted. But between you and me, I don't make offers either. I ask questions and answer the seller's questions with questions. Let's go back to my script. John, do you have to have all your cash now at closing? No. All right. So you want to listen to some ways you can make more money if we do terms? Yeah. All right. Remember the questions? Are you the only owner of the house? If I come out, are you ready to get your house sold today? And when they come back with a question for me, I'm going to go back with a question to them. Wouldn't you agree? Is that fair? They're all questions. Even okay, that's a question. We usually buy with nothing down. Okay. All stuff that you can learn that'll greatly increase your skills in a very short period of time. When you master, I'm telling you, when you master the skill of conducting this conversation by asking questions and answering questions with questions, you will discover that these deals are going to come out a whole lot better than you thought. And it won't be long that you're going to be an ace at it just because of that one thing. I'm not going to do preaching and teaching. I'm not going to ramble on. I'm going to ask questions, shut up, wait for the answer, and answer their questions with questions until there aren't any more questions. So if I do that, who's making whom the offer? The seller is making me an offer by answering my questions. I don't make offers. And if I don't like it, I'll answer another question. Like, can't pay you $50,000 down. We usually buy with nothing down. How close to nothing can you get? It's a question. Now it's up to them to answer my question. Works inside and outside of real estate. Well, there's some right there. There's some questions if you want to grab them. Wouldn't you agree? Is that fair? Okay. So you're saying if I don't give you blank, you won't sell me the house? Is that the best you can do? Aren't all these questions? What would be your second choice? You know, I can't give you $30,000 down. What would be your next? What would be your second choice? We usually buy with nothing down. How close to nothing can you get? If I give you blank, will you give me blank? Some seller gives me up to 30 years, some less. What's the most you can give me when you're talking about the term? Questions with questions. What comes out of your mouth will determine what goes into your bank account. So true. Mistake 22, letting dream stealers convince you it won't work here. It's a scam. It's illegal. You're not worthy, and so forth. And friends, I don't care where you live, you're going to have them coming at you. And unfortunately, some of them have your last name. I just hope they don't live in your house. Shoo them away. There's no city with people that there, if it has humans that don't have houses for sale and others want to buy. This is a commodity that's not going to go away. People are always going to need a place to live. It doesn't matter where you live. Real estate is real estate. Laws change, numbers change, economy changes, and it doesn't make a bit of difference. The business remains. And again, I've been at this for 42 years now, and I've been through 7 of those cycles now, and there wasn't a year that I couldn't go buy houses. There's no safer commodity than real estate. People were buying it hundreds of years before we were born, and will be doing it long after we're gone. Our entire economy is built around real estate. Couldn't survive without it. But you can't learn the business from broke people because they don't know what they're talking about, but they will sure convince you that they do. They just aren't qualified. There's deals in every city. I don't care where you're at. I don't care what the price ranges are, from the highest to the lowest. People always need to sell and others need to buy. So be careful you're not hanging around a gathering of more than one doofus. That's a doofi group. Okay? Got to guard against that. And remember, people don't want you to succeed. So, why should you care what they say? Even your CPA and attorney are not qualified to teach you how to get rich. How would they know if they're not rich? They don't know real estate. If they did, they probably wouldn't be doing what they're doing. But, they got the education, they got the credentials, so, they feel like they're up there on top. And in reality, when it comes down to how much money they make, a 1-year real estate investor makes more money than an attorney or a CPA. Losing good deals from poor training or incorrect implementation. That's number 23. And of course, everybody does that. And I wish I could tell you you won't lose deals even after you get the training, but that's not true. You're going to learn deals. Every time you do a deal, you're going to get better and better at it. And your real training is going to come from out there making it work. And I hope you're going to get help to do that. But you're going to make mistakes. Let's just make sure they're not mistakes that'll take you out. Okay? Guaranteeing debt is the most important mistake you want to avoid. That one can take you out. Okay? If you lose money on a deal, make it up on the next deal. Whoop-de-doo. But try to keep your mistakes down to a minimum. But there's absolutely no way you can get wealthy without making mistakes. So get used to it. Learn from it. Many ways to lose deals, some of which were covered here, but overpaying on cash deals is one that's going to cost you. And I promise you, there's a whole bunch of people out there today overpaying on cash deals with the hyper economy that we just came through. Good news is they're who we sell these junkers to. Okay, let them overpay until that cycle ends. And I've been through several of those cycles right now. So easy to wholesale a house. I mean, an idiot could do it, and they will pay more than they should pay based on good common sense and math if they're actually buying it to rehab it and reselling it. A lot of these people out there right now rehabbing houses are willing to work for a very small amount of money because they just don't know how to buy them right or how to buy them better. If you pay too much and do everything right, you can still lose money. If you buy it correctly and do everything wrong, you still make money. Here's my formula to determine the maximum allowable offer on a junker deal. ARV stands for after repaired value. You must get that ARV online. You can get it on our Dream system. You can get it on Zillow or wherever. But you got to know how to read those comparables or you're going to come up with a wrong number. The wrong number is the Zestimate. If you use the Zestimate, it's almost always less than the market value after repair, which means your offer is going to be lower. So if you have the wrong ARV, everything's bad from there on down. So we take that ARB and multiply it times 70%, and then minus the repairs, which we are going to look at probably photos or maybe even look at the house and come up with a number on, which is very easy for you to learn. In fact, I teach you that in my wholesale course, and of course at my live events. And then, so ARB times 70% minus repairs equals Mayo, but I will never pay Mayo. I am not going to pay close to Mayo. So let's see if that's true here. Yeah, I showed you this one earlier. Okay, the ARB was 200. Look what our purchase price was, 58. Look what the Mayo was, 80. We bought it well below Mayo. That's how come we could make $37,000 on it without touching it. It all comes back to the purchase price. All right, the one on the right there, we paid $61.5 for it, and the Mayo was 96. Quite a gap. All right, when you learn how to market and target the right people, you can get those gaps. That's $77,000 net in the same month just on those two houses. Now, how many people in this country are working for $77,000 or less? Before you can make cash offers, you got to know the ARB and guess at the repairs. Told you that. Don't use the Zestimate. You got to use comps, just the top two comps that you see on whatever site you're going on. So if you use the Zestimate, you're going to lose deals because you're going to offer, your offer is going to be off because the Zestimate is already below the actual ARB, and now you're coming way down here and doing the Mayo formula applied to that. What it's going to do to your offer, it's going to kill deals right and left. And if you use it when selling, it means you're selling too cheap, okay? Because if I use the Zestimate, that means that what I think is the ARB times 70%, means that I'm going to have a lower Mayo, which means that I'm going to be selling it too cheap because I've started with the wrong ARB. It's all math. Overestimating repairs will cost you deals. Again, you come down to this very low price, you don't get any accepted, or you overestimated repairs and you're selling them too cheap. So just a few things to learn to master your craft, and once you do it a few times, it'll be second nature. And if you don't do it, and if you're just throwing spaghetti against the wall and you're winging it, I'll guarantee you, you're in for some seminars in the School of Hard Knocks. And unfortunately, though, you won't know how many deals you missed because of faulty numbers. You'll never know. You'll never know why you didn't get them. I promise you, it'll cost you way more than anything we'll ever charge you for your entire education, times something. Okay, so you just don't know what you don't know until you know it. Take 24, making offers without knowing your exit. Well, that's bad because you really can't make a quality offer unless you know exactly how you're going to get out of it. Okay, look, I'm making an offer on a junker that rehab. I know I'm getting out of it. I'm going to wholesale it. Or sometimes I'll go ahead and buy it and rehab it and retail it if the spread is big enough. But I don't just throw numbers out there, which is a lot of real estate. I mean, some of these folks that are out there in the business right now, I can tell have not been trained. And if they went to the wrong place. For example, we were selling a house here wholesale a few months ago, and you wouldn't believe the crazy offers we got on that house. I can tell you, in many cases, they would take our asking price and they'd offer us 50% of it. Well, our asking price was already way below the ARB because the house needed renovated. They were stupid offers, all right? And we told them they were stupid offers, but they just kept on coming. So there's so many greater fools out there chasing deals right now. That's an advantage to you when you're wholesaling houses. But you still got to know the exit. If I'm getting in a terms deal, okay? If I'm cashing out, great, I know the exit. If I'm lease optioning it, what's my exit? I'm going to sublease it to a tenant buyer. Collect rent, pay the seller, keep the difference. If I own or finance it, same thing. What's my exit? I'm going to put a tenant buyer in there and see if they ever cash me out and hold on to it until I die or somebody cashes me out of it. Constant, consistent revenue. Or of course, I could always move in. By the way, you get to ruin one deal by moving into it. All right. You still should be buying it the same way you buy your investment properties. And that's not ruining it. Because frankly, if you move into it, live there a couple of years, you want to move again, you won't pay income taxes on that gain. All right. So I said that 3 or 4 times now. If I buy for cash, I sell for cash. If I buy on terms, I sell on a lease option on terms. I just said that. Wholesale and rehabs, cash out, terms out. Terms deals, I want the money now, non-refundable deposit. I want the monthly spread, and I want money later, which comes in multiple sources beyond the money I get when I'm cashed out. But think about it. I save the taxes. I get the appreciation. I get the defaulted deposits. And I can tell you, there's a very few houses that I put lease option tenant buyers in there that didn't default on their deposits. And some of those numbers would surprise you big time. Their choice, not my choice. All right. I can't pay top retail price and have much back end payday when I'm cashed out. So if I'm paying too close to what the retail price is, how do I expect to actually make money on this thing? So I got to have some equity in it the day I buy it if I'm going to cash out. I don't have to have much equity though. If I'm not going to cash out, I'll get the equity over time and I'll get the debt paid down. I'll get the appreciation and all that. I get all those goodies. So I don't have to steal a house to get those goodies. But that's only true if I'm getting a terms deal and if I'm making money on the terms, not just the price. And I don't want to cash out of terms deals. So when people ask me, well, how do you get paid? I get paid all these ways, for crying out loud. By the way, take a picture of that with your telephone or scan it, screen it, or whatever. But you should put that in front of you all the time so you clearly understand how valuable these terms deals are to you. And when doing terms deals, we don't go into low-end garbage areas near as much as we do when we're wholesaling. Wholesaling, that's where the deals are. Terms, they're above your medium price or in that area. Why would I want to kill my golden goose that keep laying the golden eggs for many, many, many years? I usually make as much getting a non-refundable deposit on a lease purchase as I would wholesaling a junker, or maybe even rehabbing it and cashing out. But the goose still lives, still keeps paying me. Do the job once, keep getting paid. So the longer you own a house, the more money you make. It's that simple. All right, that brings us to the end of this session. So our next session is going to be on selling, mistakes made when selling houses. See you then.
That's all for this edition of the Mentor Podcast. To connect with Ron and learn how you can attain financial freedom, as well as up-to-date strategies to grow and protect your wealth based on today's discussion, go to www.connectwiththementor.com.